Hey, I'm Jacob, the creator of the AI Vaults newsletter. Every week I hand the mic over to Google's Notebook LM to let AI break down the latest issue. So here's this week's news presented by Alex and Morgan.
So imagine walking into a really high-stakes job interview. You sit down, the recruiter looks across the table, and instead of asking for your resume, they ask you to slide a piece of unreleased top-secret hardware across the desk.
Yeah, which sounds completely absurd.
Exactly, like something out of a corporate spy thriller or something. But that isn't a movie plot. That is actually a very real lawsuit that Apple just filed this week.
It is, and honestly, it perfectly captures the sheer desperation in the tech industry right now. I mean, when you see companies allegedly resorting to physical espionage, the stakes have fundamentally shifted.
Right.
We're really moving from a software race to a hardware war.
We definitely are. Well, welcome to this deep dive. If you've been trying to keep up with the news this week, you probably feel like you're drinking from a fire hose.
Oh, totally.
Our mission today is to help you process an unprecedented stack of sources. We're going to unpack a week where, 3 frontier AI models dropped in just 7 days.
Which is wild.
It is wild. We'll also look at the massive infrastructure deals reshaping the global market, explore new tools that are going to permanently change how you edit video, and sort of navigate the very messy pushback against these rapidly deploying technologies.
Plus, we'll finish up with a highly practical prompting technique you can use today to fix AI memory loss.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So, to really understand the tension in the industry right now, we have to start at the top with the price war. The opening salvo this week came from OpenAI, dropping their GPT 5.6 family.
Right, and they didn't just release a single update either. They dropped 3 distinct tiers, Sol, Terra, and Luna.
Yeah, a classic good, better, best setup.
Exactly. So Luna is their budget-friendly option, coming in at $1 per million input tokens. Terra sort of sits in the middle at $2.50. But Sol is the one grabbing all the headlines.
For sure.
They've priced it at $5 per million input tokens, and OpenAI is aggressively marketing it as their absolute best coding model to date.
But what really stands out in the documentation isn't just the raw intelligence, though. It's the efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
OpenAI claims Sol is 54% more token efficient on coding tasks.
Oh.
And they took direct aim at their main rival, Anthropic, and their Fable 5 model.
The benchmark comparisons were brutal.
Right. OpenAI states that Sol scored an 80 on the Artificial Analysis Coding Agent Index, which beats Fable 5's score of 77.2. But the crucial detail here is that Sol supposedly achieves this while using half the output tokens.
And taking half the time, which I actually need to pause you there because this is a fascinating shift in how they are selling these models.
How do you mean?
Well, it feels like they're offering this vehicle lineup, right? But the primary selling point on their absolute luxury model, Sol, is actually the gas mileage. Why is token efficiency suddenly the headline metric?
That's a really great analogy. It's because the way we use AI is fundamentally changing.
Right.
Think about it. A year ago, you would type a prompt, get an answer, and read it. One prompt, one output. Exactly. But now, developers are building autonomous agents. These agents loop over a problem, writing code, testing it, finding an error, rewriting it, and doing that 100 times in a row without any human intervention.
Oh, wow.
Right? So when an AI agent is working autonomously like that, you are burning through output tokens at an astronomical rate.
Makes sense.
So efficiency is the new performance because, efficiency dictates your server bill.
That makes perfect sense. And the sources also highlight a massive security upgrade with 5.6. OpenAI is calling this their strongest cybersecurity model yet, capable of threat modeling and code patching.
Yeah, they even mentioned blue teaming.
Right, and for anyone unfamiliar with that term, blue teaming essentially means the model can act as a defensive security squad, actively simulating and patching vulnerabilities against outside attacks.
Oh, intense.
It's apparently so potent that the U.S. government actually requested a staggered rollout for the release.
Exactly. And to complement the raw models, they also launched ChatGPT Work, which is an agent specifically for pro, enterprise, and edu users.
What does that one do?
It's designed to pull context directly from your connected workplace apps to autonomously build documents, spreadsheets, and websites. So it's just this massive suite of updates.
Huge. But in this market, you really don't get to hold the spotlight for more than a few hours.
No, you don't.
Because XAI and Meta immediately stepped in to undercut them. Let's look at xAI first, operating under the SpaceX umbrella. They launched Grok 4.5.
Yeah. And Elon Musk pitched this as an Opus class model, which is a direct reference to Anthropic's highest intelligence tier.
Right.
But Musk's pitch was that Grok 4.5 is faster and cheaper, targeting coding and agentic work specifically at just $2 per million input tokens and $6 per million output tokens.
And right on their heels, Meta Superintelligence Labs released Muse Spark 1.1, boasting a massive 1 million token context window.
Which is huge, but the most significant structural shift here isn't really the context window, it's the business model. For the first time ever, Meta is charging for direct access to its frontier model via the new Meta Model API. And their pricing is incredibly aggressive.
It's like $1.25 per million input tokens.
Exactly, and $4.25 per million output.
Wait, I have to challenge this strategy a bit. Meta has spent the last couple of years giving their llama models away as open weights.
Right.
Essentially handing the core recipe out for free to developers to, build goodwill and establish themselves as the open source champion.
Yep.
So why suddenly put up a toll booth and charge for API access? Doesn't that contradict their entire playbook?
It looks like a contradiction until you look at the infrastructure layer. Giving away open weights is great for developer adoption, but it means developers take those weights and run the actual computations, the inference on someone else's servers, like Amazon or Microsoft. So Meta's strategy is evolving into building a walled garden. By offering a managed, highly subsidized API, they want to keep developers inside the Meta ecosystem, running inference on Meta servers, and basically utilizing tools specifically optimized for Meta's third-party dev harnesses.
Mark Zuckerberg even came out and pointedly noted that other labs have extreme pricing and high margins, kind of positioning Meta as the provider of affordable intelligence.
Exactly.
So if we synthesize all of this, we have massive models getting cheaper by the day, fighting tooth and nail over coding benchmarks, and undercutting each other's API costs by pennies.
Yeah.
We're basically watching top-tier cognitive processing power turn into a cheap, everyday utility like electricity.
That is exactly the right analogy. Raw cognitive processing is becoming a zero-margin commodity. The economic value is rapidly shifting away from the model itself and moving toward the application layer.
Meaning what you can actually build on top of that cheap intelligence.
Precisely.
Which brings us to a highly specific, practical application of all this cheap intelligence. Let's look at the featured tool from our sources this week, which is ChatGPT.
Like ChatGPT.
It hit #1 on Product Hunt, and it is an AI video editor driven entirely by chat.
But we do need to clarify what AI video editor means in this context, because the term carries a lot of baggage right now.
Oh, absolutely.
ChatGPT doesn't just swallow your raw footage and spit out a locked generic video template. It utilizes a real editable timeline.
Right. Normally, I am highly skeptical of these tools. Historically, an AI video editor just slaps a generic filter over your clips.
Adds some royalty-free music and calls it a day.
Exactly. You have zero granular control. But the standout feature for ChatGPT is that it exports to XML files.
Which is a game changer.
It's massive. For anyone who edits video, you know why that matters. An XML file is essentially a structural blueprint of a video edit.
Yeah.
By exporting to XML, ChatGPT seamlessly integrates with professional, heavy-duty software like Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, or Final Cut.
Exactly. It operates much more like an assistant editor, taking on the grueling intern-level busywork.
Right.
You hand it a folder of raw footage, and the AI logs the clips, makes all the dead air cuts, does a first-pass sourcing of B-roll, and it even auto-captions the video in over 100 languages by reading directly from the transcript.
Wow.
And if you want to trim a scene, you literally just highlight and delete the text in the transcript document.
And it also has built-in generation tools to fill in the gaps. It features Cadence 2.0 for generating video clips, GPT Image 2, and Nano Banana 2 for image generation, plus a built-in AI music generator.
There's a whole studio in there.
It really is. The paid tiers start at $25 a month for 100 credits. But the fact that it exports an XML file is the real breakthrough here.
Yeah.
It means that AI does the heavy lifting, but the human editor ultimately holds the keys to refine, color correct, and finish the project locally on their own machine.
It's a perfect example of this new era. These cheaper, smarter models are enabling software to act as a collaborative partner rather than a magical, uneditable black box. Right.
Yeah.
But as these highly autonomous tools are deployed at scale, we are seeing massive friction across the industry. The transition is incredibly messy.
Which brings us back to that wild scenario I mentioned at the very top of the show. We're seeing severe legal and social ripples, starting with Apple's lawsuit against OpenAI.
Yeah. Apple is suing for alleged trade secret theft and breach of contract.
The specifics in the court filing are highly revealing, too. Apple claims OpenAI recruited Tang Tan, who is a 24-year Apple veteran who served as their VP of product design for the iPhone and Apple Watch.
Right.
But the core of the lawsuit alleges that during OpenAI's recruiting process, candidates were instructed to bring unannounced Apple hardware components and confidential project data directly to their job interviews.
Which is just staggering, bringing physical, unreleased hardware to a competitor's office.
Seriously.
It shows you that this isn't just about software code anymore. If intelligence is becoming a cheap utility, the real bottleneck is the physical devices these AI agents will eventually live on. Whoever controls the hardware controls the ecosystem.
And that friction isn't just confined to corporate boardrooms and courtrooms either. It's happening in the public square. Meta experienced a significant public backlash this week.
Oh, right. They released a new Instagram feature called Muse Image Photo Remixing, and they actually had to kill it just 3 days after launch.
Just 3 days. So according to the reporting, the feature allowed users to utilize Meta's AI to alter and remix photos from any public Instagram account.
Yeah, and it did so without notifying the original user who posted the photo.
Which, understandably, caused massive pushback, particularly from talent and representation agencies like CAA and SAG-AFTR, who raised concerns about likeness rights.
Yeah, and Meta completely pulled the feature, basically stating they missed the mark on the rollout.
We should be clear, we're not taking sides on whether the feature was good or bad, but just reporting that the backlash was swift and undeniable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It really highlights the extreme tension between deploying powerful generative capabilities and navigating the practical realities of consent. And we're seeing another form of structural tension with Cursor. Cursor is an incredibly popular AI coding tool. Our sources note it's currently used by 2/3 of the Fortune 500.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and Cursor's currently building a new general-purpose agent called Sand.
What's Sand supposed to do?
It's designed for non-coders, meant to autonomously handle everyday tasks like sorting emails and managing spreadsheets.
Okay.
But the launch of Sand is reportedly tied up because of a massive corporate acquisition. SpaceX is pending a $60 billion acquisition of Cursor's parent company, Anysphere.
And that creates a massive conflict of interest regarding vendor neutrality, right?
Exactly. Cursor became the industry standard precisely because it was model agnostic. You, as the user, could choose to route your queries through Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI's GPT, or Google's Gemini.
Right.
But with SpaceX owning XAI and their Grok models, enterprise clients are highly concerned.
Because they're wondering if Sand and Cursor as a whole will remain a neutral platform or if they'll be optimized and locked down to push Grok as the default engine.
It's all about lock-in.
Right. And this seamlessly connects to the underlying foundation of all these stories, the infrastructure. To power these massive API ecosystems, to run autonomous video editors like ChatGPT, and to build generalized office agents like Sand to Scene, you need an astronomical amount of physical hardware.
Oh, yeah.
The money flowing into infrastructure right now is operating on a scale that is just hard to comprehend.
The capital expenditure side of the industry is staggering. Let's look at SK Hynix, the South Korean memory chip giant. This week, they raised $26.5 billion in their U.S. market debut.
$26.5 billion?
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, it is the biggest foreign IPO in U.S. history, completely shattering the record set by Alibaba way back in 2014.
Wait, what exactly does SK Hynix make that is worth a $26.5 billion public offering?
They supply high bandwidth memory, or HBM.
Okay.
When you look at an NVIDIA GPU, the chip doing the actual AI math is only half the equation. It needs to pull massive amounts of data in and out instantly to perform those calculations. HBM provides that ultra-fast data highway. Without it, the NVIDIA chips are starved for data and just sit idle. The demand for HBM is so intense that the U.S. Commerce Secretary is actively lobbying SK Hynix, along with Samsung, to build new fabrication plants domestically in America.
Wow. And it isn't just memory chips seeing these massive influxes of capital. Sambonova, which builds specialized AI inference chips, just raised $1 billion at an $11 billion valuation.
Yeah.
And the crucial detail in our sources is that they secured JP Chase as a strategic partner to power secure on-premises AI inference.
That phrase, on-premises inference, is the key to that valuation.
Because of data security.
Exactly. Major financial institutions like JP Chase are dealing with highly sensitive regulated financial data. They fundamentally cannot and will not send that data out to public cloud providers like Amazon or Microsoft to be processed by a public AI model.
Right, that's a massive compliance risk.
Yeah, they require the physical hardware to be sitting in their own secure lockdown server rooms. Sampanova is providing that enterprise-grade physical hardware solution.
That makes a lot of sense. We are seeing these massive global infrastructure deals across the board. Reflection AI, an open model startup, just signed a billion-dollar compute deal with a European infrastructure company called Nebius simply to guarantee they have access to enough NVIDIA chips.
Everyone is scrambling for compute.
Yeah, Pixverse, a startup focused on video generation models, raised $439 million, pushing their valuation past $2 billion.
The global maneuvering to capture user volume is relentless right now. Anthropic is fundamentally altering its pricing strategy, localizing costs in India to roughly 2,000 rupees a month for their Claude Pro tier.
Wow.
Yeah, they're doing this because they recognize India already accounts for nearly 6% of their global usage, and they need to lock in that massive user base.
Makes sense.
Even consumer platforms are scaling up their compute. Spotify just launched a ChatGPT-like AI music assistant that allows premium users to dynamically build highly specific playlists through conversational chat.
I really need to stop and look at the math here because on a macro level, it feels contradictory.
Yeah.
Well, in the first half of this deep dive, we talked about model API prices plummeting to $1 or $2 per million tokens. The software is getting incredibly cheap.
Right.
But right now, we are talking about infrastructure and compute costs ballooning into the tens of billions of dollars.
Right.
If the product is getting cheaper, but the factories to build the product are getting exponentially more expensive, how does this ecosystem survive long term? Who gets squeezed?
That is the central tension of the entire AI industry right now. The underlying economic bet is entirely based on volume.
Okay.
The major labs assume that by driving the cost of intelligence down to near zero, it will unlock an unprecedented massive volume of autonomous agentic tasks.
So they just want more and more tasks running.
Exactly. They were betting that millions of AI agents running 2004/7 will generate enough microtransactions to pay off those multi-billion-dollar hardware facilities.
And regulators are clearly seeing the scale of this physical expansion and trying to get ahead of it. The EU Commission just presented a formal action plan demanding that all frontier models be rigorously security tested by a secure platform by the year 2027.
Right. But for that economic volume bet to actually pay off, these autonomous agents have to work flawlessly.
Yeah.
If an enterprise company deploys an agent to manage their logistics, that agent needs to run reliably over long periods of time without breaking down or losing its train of thought.
Which transitions us perfectly into our prompt technique of the week. Because getting an AI agent to stay on track over a long, complex task is notoriously difficult.
Very difficult.
If you're going to use these cheap models to do your own work, you need a highly practical way to stop them from forgetting what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. And the insight for this week comes from the engineering team behind the Manus agent. In their testing, they identified a critical vulnerability known in the industry as the lost-in-the-middle attention problem.
I mean, this is something anyone who uses AI heavily has probably experienced. If you give an AI a complex 8-step task, it does great on step 1 and step 2.
Oh, sure.
But by the time it gets to step 6, it has generated so much intermediate text and code that it literally loses sight of the original brief. It just starts responding to the most recent paragraph it generated, completely forgetting the overarching goal you gave it at the very beginning. Why does it do that?
It basically comes down to how the underlying architecture, specifically transformer models, actually works.
Okay.
The attention mechanism in these models is statistically biased. They pay the highest amount of attention to the very beginning of a prompt window, the very end of a prompt window.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the vast amount of text in the middle gets fuzzy. The model's attention degrades. So the Manus team developed a zero infrastructure prompting fix called recitation.
It's a brilliantly simple workaround. To use recitation, you instruct the AI in your initial prompt to keep a markdown checklist, literally a todo.md file, and you explicitly force the AI to rewrite the entire plan at the end of every single step, checking off the items it just completed before moving on to the next one.
Think about what that physically does to the context window. By forcing the model to rewrite its overarching goal and checklist, you are pushing the most critical information down into the newest tokens at the very bottom of the chat.
Where it's paying the most attention.
Statistically, yes.
Yeah.
That is where the model's attention mechanism is the strongest. You are using natural language to continually bias the model's own focus back toward your main objective.
It is exactly like having a highly capable but incredibly forgetful intern.
That's a great way to put it.
If you make them read their core job description and their daily checklist out loud to you every single time they finish a minor task, it sounds tedious. But for an AI, it forces the ultimate goal right back into its immediate short-term focus. It completely stops the attention drift.
It's really a profound realization for anyone using these tools. Memory in AI isn't just about storage space, it's about active attention. You have to actively engineer the context window so that the most important information is always front and center.
While we have covered a staggering amount of ground today, we watched the raw cost of intelligence plummet as OpenAI, XAI, and Meta battle for dominance and token efficiency.
Yeah, a real race to the bottom on price.
We saw how tools like ChatGPT are utilizing XML to turn these models into collaborative, editable partners rather than black box toys.
Which is so needed.
Definitely. We navigated the sheer desperation of Apple's corporate espionage lawsuits and the public friction surrounding Meta's deployments. We looked at the tens of billions of dollars flowing into physical infrastructure like SK Hynix and Nova just to keep the hardware running.
Massive investments.
And we learned how to use the recitation technique to keep our own forgetful AI assistants strictly focused on the task at hand. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us into an absolutely unprecedented week in technology.
I do want to leave you with one final thought to mull over regarding that recitation technique. We just talked about using it to force an AI to constantly rewrite its to-do list so it stays on track.
Right.
But as these models become increasingly autonomous, operating as independent agents for hours or days at a time, what happens when an AI decides to subtly rewrite its own to-do list to achieve a goal in a way we didn't authorize? If the AI is entirely responsible for managing its own memory checklist, who is auditing the auditor?
Now, there is a thought to keep you up at night. Keep experimenting with the new tools and the prompting techniques we discussed today. And remember, when you see a tiny crack in the dam of new technology, don't just grab a bucket, get ready, because the tidal wave is always right behind it.